everyone, this is Jordan from sleeklens.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to take a photo similar to this, or basically any photo, it could be a person, a portrait, anything, and turn it into a painting effect. This video was submitted by Rhonda Audenert. Sorry if I didn't get your last name right there. But we put a poll out on the Facebook exclusive group Facebook page, and this was one of the videos that they kind of requested. So wanted to give credit to Rhonda for this video, and I'll go ahead and show you how to get started. Now this specific technique is something that I haven't really seen on YouTube. There's a lot of techniques out there how to make a painting effect, but this one is kind of a one that's more of a realistic painting effect. A lot of people just try to do like brush strokes and put a whole bunch of filters on that, but in this video I'm going to show you how to take a little bit of minimal filters and a couple different layers, and we should have a very realistic painting effect. So let's go ahead and get started. First we need to get a image. I just pulled this image scene, this forest scene here, and I'm going to turn this into a painting. And so go ahead and get your image, and first thing we're going to do is duplicate the image so we always have something to go back on. So I'm going to take the image, drag it down here to the bottom, and then turn that layer off down here at the bottom so I can come back and get to it anytime I need to. So now I'm going to create a blank layer just right there, and then I'm going to fill it with a pattern or a texture. And so I'm going to go to Edit and then Fill, and I've already selected mine, but if you haven't already, go to Pattern, and we're going to go to the gear icon here, and this is where all the textures, preloaded textures are, and we're going to choose Artistic Surface. And what we want to do is just go ahead and pin that. What that means is it's going to just add it to the box that's already down there. And so now that we got this up there, I'm going to choose Extra Heavy Canvas. So I'm going to choose that, and there you can see the texture here. It looks a little wonky because it's a little bit repetitive, but once we add all of our textures and stuff like that, you're not even going to be able to see that. So I'm going to actually just turn that off real quick and kind of move it down here so that I don't see that interacting with my photo here. So now we need to add a few filters, not too much. So I'm just going to select that image and go to Filter and then Filter Gallery. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to do poster edges. And so I'm going to go ahead and crank the thickness all the way up. I'm going to make the intensity probably around 7 or 8. You can choose whichever is best for your image. And the posterization all the way up. And I'm just going to click OK. And then now on that same layer, I'm going to go back into Filter and do Filter, Gallery, and then do Paint Daubs. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so I can kind of see the whole image. Alright, so you can kind of see how blurry and everything it is, so I'm going to sharpen it up a little bit, but also take my brush strokes down. Alright, there we go, and I'm just going to click OK. And there's our image. So now we need to make a adjustment layer, but we want it to be a black adjustment layer, or a layer mask. So what we want to do is just click the layer mask button down here and hold Option or Alt on your keyboard. And what that does, when you click the layer mask button, it turns your layer mask into black and takes away the image. So what we're going to do is paint back the image instead of removing parts of the image. It's much easier that way. So let's go ahead and get a brush to get started here. I'm going to choose my brush icon here and go into the brush settings here, choose the gear icon, and I'm going to choose Wet Media Brushes. Again, I'm going to do Append, and I'm going to go down to the bottom here, and there's going to be a few brushes in a cluster here, and this one, let's see what the name of it here is. Brush with Thick Flow Medium. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. In this specific step, it really doesn't matter which exact one you choose as long as the brush has this sort of shape here. So now we're going to make sure our brush color is white, and we're going to take our opacity down to around 38. Flow, it can be between the same amount, 38, 40, somewhere around there. I'm going to choose 41. And now what we're going to do is paint back the image. And this is going to require a bunch of strokes, and the more gradual you go, the more realistic the effect is. So I'm just going to paint back a little bit, and it's just, all I'm doing is painting over some of the image, not a whole lot. I'm not really worrying about where exactly I'm bringing stuff in, but mainly concentrating on the center part of it. So just doing a couple little extra strokes here. Alright, so that's what I'm sticking with for this particular layer. We're going to do a bunch more layers on top of that one. So I'm going to go ahead and take my original image and make a duplicate of it, drag it up to the top, and go ahead and activate it so I can see the original image with no effects. So I'm going to go to Filter, Filter Gallery, and this one, you kind of have a couple options. You can click watercolor. It just depends on kind of what you like. And so I think I'm going to stick with watercolor, make my brush detail, up that a little bit. Shadow intensity, I'm going to actually take that down. All right, and I'm just going to click OK. And so that is the image. We're going to do the same exact thing we did to this one. We're going to hold Alt or Option and click the Layer Mask button, take that away, and we're going to slowly paint back more. But this time I'm going to increase my opacity, or decrease my opacity in my flow, and just start doing the same thing. Just keep clicking and kind of go over the bottom layer, and just keep clicking. And the more gradual you do this, the more finer the detail is. Alright, so there we go. I'm going to keep this part of the image of this layer, this particular layer, ready to go. I think it looks pretty well. So let's go ahead and actually activate the heavy canvas layer so we can kind of see how it's looking. So now you can see kind of why we added that layer. Now it looks like it's actually painted on a canvas. So if we were to zoom in, you get that texture also in the image, but it also looks like paint. And so the more layers we add on top of our adjustment layers, the more layers we add, it's just going to look better and better. So let's do one more. I'm going to go ahead and click the bottom layer again, duplicate it, bring it to the top, activate it, and let's go ahead and apply another effect here. And just to make it fun, let's do another different filter just to see what it does. So let's do rough pastels, do stroke length, detail, and you can just play around with these values to see what looks good to you. So let's do that right there. Alright, so now we're going to click our adjustment layer, our layer mask, hold Alt or Option, turn it to black, and paint back with white. And same thing, just keep painting it back. Alright, so I like the way that one looks. So I'm done with painting back my layers and all that kind of stuff. So I like the effect that it has. Now you can see I never really touched the edges, and that was on purpose. I want to make it look like it was painting in the middle of a canvas and not perfectly neat and taking up the whole canvas area. So this was kind of purpose. You can actually paint back a little bit more if you'd like to just take a couple bare areas away. But you know, it's kind of like an artistic thing that you can decide whether you want to do it yourself or not. Alright, there's a couple more things we need to do to kind of make this a little bit more realistic. So what we're going to do is take our canvas layer, we're going to duplicate that, bring that to the top, and then we're going to apply a blending mode to it. There's a couple you can choose from. It just depends on what you like. Multiply is a good one, overlay is a good one. And if you do some of these, you're going to have to decrease the opacity to make it blend in a little more. Soft light's a good one as well. I'm actually going to stick with multiply. You can see it darkens the image. However, take down the opacity and it just kind of blends it in there a little bit more, and it also adds more of that textured layer when you kind of zoom in. Alright, so one more thing we need to do just to help this along here is take our original layer with nothing done to it, no effects, anything. It's our original image. We're going to take that, we're going to move it up top in between the top canvas layer and the adjustments that we've done. And now all we're going to do to that one is just take the opacity down. And what that does is adds a little bit more detail to the image. Since we used a whole bunch of filters to make it look like a painting, we took away a lot of detail, like in the foliage and the trees and stuff. All this does is adds a little bit more detail to kind of help it give a little bit more realism. It also fills in the edges if you want it, but it still keeps them sort of opaque, so it kind of adds that painting texture still. So as we zoom in here, you can see the texture on the image. You can see how it's got the kind of painting effect to them all. And you can keep going with as many layers as you want. The more you do, the more realistic it looks. And you can even play with brush sizes and everything. But this is the technique that I've always used to make it look like a painting, and I think it looks really well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video on creating a painting effect in Photoshop. This technique actually works in almost every version of Photoshop, so it's not just geared towards Adobe Photoshop CC. So if you have an older version, this technique will actually work, and you don't have to worry about getting new plugins and filters and stuff like that. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thank you, Rhonda Autonert, for the suggestion for this video. And this is Jordan from sleeklens.com, and I'll see you in the next video.